Good evening and welcome to Normal, Illinois for tonight's matchup between the Clinton Lumber Kings and the Normal Corn Belters. Tonight is the third game that will be played in the Corn Crib. We had a Colonel's Collegiate League doubleheader that started at 11. So we've all been here for a little while, but it's a lot of good energy here at the Corn Crib. Why don't we start off this broadcast? I'm Meagan Smith alongside Blake Borgardt, and I think we should talk about the visiting Clinton Lumber Kings and their lineup for this game.
Definitely, Megan, and so I'm so glad you wanted to bring them up first because this really is a big matchup for the Belters, seeing as the only loss they've suffered this season was at the hands of the Lumber Kings on the road just a couple of days ago. Leading off the top of the order for the Lumber Kings is Matt Sherman, followed by Rafe Peterson. Batting third in the lineup is Jeremy Conforti. Chase Becker will follow him. Connor Giusti. After that, Isaiah Thompson, Camden Bailey, Kyle Campbell, and Nick Fleckenstein will round out the order. The starting pitcher today for the Lumber Kings is number 26, Jackson Kent. And we learned something kind of interesting about him before the broadcast, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, so we were talking to one of the media guys for Clinton, and he was talking about how Jackson Kent was supposed to be their opening day starter. And there were just a few questions about eligibility because Arizona is in the College World Series right now where he plays at. So it took them a little while. They sorted everything out, so he's here starting tonight for the Clinton Lumber Kings. And he does have a status. He goes to Arizona, which obviously is the World Series. And he was going to be their opening day starter. So right now he's probably hailed as the team's ace. So it might be a little bit harder of a pitching matchup today than we've seen in the past few games for the Corn Belters.
Yeah, well, it may have been, this team may have been altered to be a better defensively. Offensively, when I'm taking a look at their lineup, the Lumber Kings are missing Tommy Specht, who was the best hitter against the Belters in their 9-5 victory over them. Specht had 5 at-bats, and he ended up scoring 2 runs, but he had 3 hits on only 5 at-bats, and he had 3 RBIs, literally accounting for a third of his team's total runs, which is insane when you think about that stat. If it was like football or something like that, for somebody to have 3 touchdown scores, they're literally half of what their team ended up scoring. So him being out of the lineup today could definitely affect this Lumber Kings batting order. And I think that if we want to jump now over to the Belters, as we are, we're Corn Belters, broadcasters, I am loving the way that this offense is coming together for this team.
Absolutely, I am too. So our leadoff hitter is number 4, Jackson Chatterton. Jackson Chatterton hails from Bradley University. I myself am a Bradley Gray. And Jackson Chatterton, so far with the Braves, has been a very stalwart player for them. And I've watched him throughout the season, and he's just been a cornerstone for this team, both defensively and offensively. He's a switch hitter, has had multiple home runs on each side of the plate in his season with the Braves, and has come in strong so far for the Corn Belters this season. He's doing a great job getting on in his first at-bat, leading off for the team. He's allowing himself to, steal bases. He's had a couple steals, and he's doing very well advancing the team by his presence. He's been a very strong player for the Corn Belters, and so we are looking for him to keep up his consistency.
And I love that you brought him up immediately since he is at the top of the order. And last night we saw so many different stolen bases by Chatterton. I can think of one immediately in the second game that jumped out to me. It was the second inning, and Chatterton was gunning it from first to second, and the catcher looked like he had him beat there for a split second. But just the sheer acceleration that Chatterton had to beat out that ball makes him such a dangerous runner just simply by being on the bases. And part of me wonders, if you're a pitcher and you're out on that mound, do you have to respect Chatterton more as somebody who can steal, and does that mess with your pitching, the way you're going to throw your pitches at all, knowing that you might have to turn around and pick him off if you get a little too leany over there at first base?
Right, which is exactly what you want as the Corn Belters team, because if Jackson Chatterton can get on, he can make that pitcher nervous in the first at-bat. So the pitcher isn't getting comfortable, and he's already having a tough time worrying about Chatterton, like what is he going to do? And we saw him beat out a throw also in yesterday's game where it looked like it would be a normal out, but Chatterton was fast enough that he beat out the throw. So Chatterton has proven that he's very fast, and he is followed by a very powerful second hitter. Mark?
Absolutely. And for a second here, as we were announcing the Belter starting lineups, I had to look down at my lineup card to make sure I was seeing everything right. That was Jared Comita out on the mound for the Belters, and I was wondering if he was going to end up pitching. But as we get to the national anthem here, we'll step away and take a quick break. You're watching Corn Belters Baseball on Prospect League TV.
Welcome back. We are just a few seconds away from first pitch here at the Corn Crib, and coming up to bat for the Lumber Kings is Matt Sherman, the designated hitter, which you don't see DH leading off too often, Blake.
No, you definitely don't, and I think that really truly is a testament to how powerful this guy is and how valuable he is as a hitter. Not having him in the lineup truly would hurt them had there not been that designated hitter spot added for the Lumber Kings. But I'll be very interested to see here how Bodie Gabink does starting today for the Belters.
Absolutely, yeah. Bodie Gabink has been a very big name around the league, and his prophecy is to be a great pitcher for the Corn Belters, and that's what they are looking for.
Prophecy.
From him. Yeah, his prophecy is to be a good pitcher because his name has just been around there everywhere, and he is supposed to be the pitching version of Jackson Chatterton. Just a strong guy that can provide reassurance when he's on the mound. And when he's up there, everything's going to be steady and okay.
And I mean, he definitely showed that in his first matchup. This is actually going to be only his second appearance for the Belters so far in the 4 games, and he actually was one of the pitchers in the starting rotation for the Belters in that first game. He pitched 3 total innings. He had 1 batter walked, but outside of that, he had 4 strikeouts in 3 innings, no hits and no runs allowed. So let's see now if this Clinton Lumber Kings team can get their offense going. And we talked about the opposing pitching as well. And so something that I think we could be getting into here early into this matchup is a bit of a pitching shutout when these two studs are out there on the mound.
Sherman steps into the box, ready for pitch 1 of this game. Outside for a ball 1. We have a little slower pace of games here with the Corn Belters than we do the KCL. The Colonel Fleet League plays a lot faster, but there's a lot more downtime in these games here. That is just inside for a strike. It's always weird to see a designated hitter leading off because usually they are bigger, stronger guys. They're usually at cleanup, looking to hit a home run or bust out a double or a triple, bat those leadoff guys in. But the Lumber Kings are doing something a little unique here with their lineup, so I think it'll be interesting to see how the development of the rest of the lineup will look with a DH leading off.
And that's something I love to see out of Coach Dom for the Lumber Kings. The head manager for them used to be the head coach for Iowa baseball, as that's a hit right there, as well as Creighton baseball, currently coaching at Mount Mercy University.
Jackson Chatterton over to Comia, who's at first point, easy routine play out. We're seeing already in the first at-bat some patience there by the batters of the Lumber Kings. They're not swinging at first pitches. They're taking balls. They're taking strikes that they don't think they can get a good hit on, which might be a very good strategy against a solid hitter like Gabank. Bank throws and fouled far away. He was a little ahead of that one.
And definitely a little more wind today in this competition than we had yesterday. And I'd be very interested to see how this affects high-flying balls because that wind is coming directly from the outfield. I believe it's only 10 or 15 miles an hour strong, so it doesn't sound like a lot. But when you're pushing a ball 340, 400 feet in the air, it's gonna essentially mess up your rainbow that you're trying to get a little bit more. And we might see a little less power hitting coming into effect here in this one.
1-2 count on the batter, Rafe Peterson. He's the shortstop for the Lumber Kings.
Rafe. That's an awesome name.
Rafe.
That's an awesome name.
It really is.
We talked about it in the broadcast last night, the coolest names for the Belters. And I gotta say, I think the Lumber Kings might have us beat in multiple regards here.
We are seeing a lot of foul balls so far, like I said, with patience from the batters. They're being able to make contact and building up. What they want is to be giving pitch count early on in this game.
I mean, he's keeping it low to this point. Got his first batter out almost immediately.
2-2 count on the batter. Looking to hopefully get out of this inning and have a clean start for the normal Corn Belters when they begin to bat next inning. Full count here on Peterson.
Gabank shook off that first pitch from his catcher.
He did another foul ball, keeping the at-bat alive.
And that's something you love to see if you're a fan. You love to see the pitcher and the batter going at it, but it's something you hate to see if you're the head manager and know that this pitch count is only going to keep on extending if we're getting into battles like this in the first inning.
Absolutely, and the Corn Belters have been pretty dynamic with their pitching staff. They've had a few games where they use 3 or 4 pitchers, and then some games where they'll have one starter go pretty deep. So it'll be interesting here to see what the call from Turner is on Gabank if the pitch count continues to rise as quickly as it is right now.
I mean, up to yesterday, we hadn't seen a Corn Belters pitcher go for more than 3 innings. Luke Olson absolutely shattered that mark as that one is hit.
Long foul.
For a second there, my heart sank as that one was high in the air, looking like it was going to reach out by the Moe's Caters sign in the outfield. But as I was saying, Luke Olson completely shattered that mark, going for almost, I think it was 5+ innings that he ended up pitching. Just an absolutely stellar performance.
Ball away, and we can see a few kids running after that ball. It's always fun to see kids here at the Corn Crib. It's a very kid-friendly environment and just such a place to chill out, have some fun, and watch some baseball. Still a 3-2 count here on Peterson. This is a long at-bat. The catcher and the pitcher are having a few disputes, and that is a solid hit in left center field. It will be grabbed by the Corn Belter center fielder, and they're hoping to cut him off at a double. First hit here for the Lumber Kings. A hit by Peterson to bring up the first baseman to 40. So this is hopefully Gabank can get out of this situation right now, because you never want to start off behind, of course, in a game. It'll be interesting to see what Peterson does on base paths. Another hit that will drop, and it looks like Peterson Peterson is going to stop at third and not bait Watson, the center fielder, into throwing home and maybe having a missed throw or a pass ball or something that would give an advantage to Lumber Kings.
Conforti could not have hit that ball any better. It just dropped right in that gap, and it had that little bit of an arc on it, that little bit of a float that just dropped it right in the sweet spot between the shortstop and center field, making it impossible for a defender to get there in time and judge it properly.
Absolutely. So we see Chase Becker, the left fielder, stepping in the box. A lot of righties so far against the lefty bank. 0-1 count on the batter, Becker.
Becker went .250 batting average in the season opener. And he was actually starting the season as the designated hitter for the Lumber Kings.
Inside for ball one. It's interesting to see here with runners on the corners what the big strategy is. Maybe he's looking for, hopefully a double play to just end the inning. Solid hit off the back, out to left center. They are going back at the wall, and it is caught by Watson, but the runner, Peterson, will score. And there are now runners on first. And that is an out for Becker.
And I'm just now realizing that's Xavier Watson out there at center field. His range on the defensive end is just fascinating to me. Yesterday he played short, he played third. With flying colors, I felt that he succeeded, and now he's in the outfield today. A little bit of a less challenging position, I would feel like. You have a little more time on your hands to twiddle your thumbs out there. But to see him just be able to play all these different positions and get all this experience, so I'm going to hit deep to shallow right.
Looks like Zuck got it for the inning to end. Only one run scored by the Lumber Kings, putting them up above the Corn Belters in the first inning. We'll be right back with Jackson Chatterton and the Corn Belters ready to hit. You're watching the Corn Belters on Prospect League TV. Back. welcome back to beautiful Norma, Illinois. We have Jackson Chatterton leading off for the Braves, and he takes ball 1, high and outside.
I'm happy you say beautiful Normal, Illinois. I love this city. I love the city.
It's a wonderful city. And Bob's to shortstop, and Jackson Chatterton will be thrown out at first. Kyle Bartman, third baseman, coming up to bat.
Third baseman, number 21.
You know, we have a lot of interns here who are out of state, who aren't from the area, and I think, you know, I'm from Peoria, from Bradley, and I just think this is a wonderful area. You know, it's a great mix of suburb, urban, and rural area.
I'm right there with you. There are so many great places to eat. Blown Out Pizza, for example, where we host our podcast every single Tuesday. Corn on the Call. Feel free to listen to it on Spotify and streaming on other platforms. Shameless plug there. I love to talk about Corn on the Call because I really feel like we get to see so much more with the Belters than you would just by watching this game.
Absolutely, yeah. We really go in depth on a lot of players. We talk about, you know, the league itself. We talk about a lot of different things, and we have a lot of different special guests from different areas that will pique in your interest because we're bringing different perspectives from so many people. And that is a 3-pitch strikeout for Jackson Kent.
Number 33, Jared Copia.
Not what you want to see if you're the Belters early in this one to be down 2 batters. And this pitcher, Kent, he's absolutely throwing some heaters out there on the mound, and I see why Arizona was so happy to have them on their roster. Pardon me. So that's going to be ball 1, high above the plate. Was snagged by the catcher though.
Right now, the Braves' mindset is playing a catch-up game. They watched as the opposing lineup was working up the Banks' pitch count, and they are trying to replicate the same thing for Kent's pitch count. Work these long at-bats. Ideally, not getting too many 3-pitch strikeouts.
Definitely not.
Low and outside for ball 2. Coming out to bat, a lefty. So we are looking at a lefty-on-lefty matchup here. The pitch. Low and inside for ball 3. Have 2 outs so far this inning. Corn Belters are looking to bring up Ben Higgins, who last night had the walk-off win for the Corn Belters as Camilla takes a walk.
Let's see if he can do a little repeat of last night, maybe. He's just a guy who I'm such a big fan of. Talked about it a lot in the broadcast yesterday, but he's an excellent power hitter. Definitely somebody who you want batting in the middle of your order, more so batting cleanup for those times where you're getting quite a few people on base, and not a lot of people on base right now, but a hit like that absolutely puts the Belters in the lead. And would definitely be a better stretch of offensive production than they had in their first game against the Burlington Bees just last night, where they only scored 4 total runs, I believe it was, and the last 3 of them came in the final 2 innings. So it was definitely a bit of a quiet one, but you know what it comes down to is if you are a team that no matter what finds a way to win, you will be hanging around for the playoffs come August.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, those games where it's close until the late innings, those games are really good predictors for how the postseason is going to look.
As that one is going to be fair, wow.
That's huge, and Camilla's already home as Higgins stops at second base. That is huge for the Corn Belters to tie this game up already. Pamia was so fast that by the time the ball had been called fair, he was already rounding third.
And I was not expecting that speed out of Pamia. He's a tall, lengthy guy, and he was running like I'm not sure exactly what I would use the terminology for, but he was booking it around second, and he wanted home, and he got it, and now we're looking at a tied game.
Exactly, yeah, which is what the Corn Belters were looking for coming into this inning. So to have already achieved that is huge for them. And that is a pass ball for Higgins to advance to third.
And that ball by Higgins could not have been in a better spot. Just dropped fair right in front of the third base bag, just out of the reach of the third baseman, and that was like the perfect spot. Those foul areas where the bullpens are for both teams are no man's land essentially. As that one is crushed by Meredith.
It is a long foul ball just dropping, so it can't be an out. The two Lumber Kings really hustled for it, though. It was really close on that one.
And I mean, that dropped right in no man's land that I was just talking about. If there's a ball that is able to hop and skip fair over there,
yes.
You've got two guys in position, but they're going to have to haul it over there and rally it with some very powerful but also very precise throwing in order to get those runners tagged out.
And something with the corn crib, you can just see a little bit, especially on the third baseline, how much foul territory there is in this ballpark. I mean, we have a lot of foul territory here. So if something does, bounce foul, maybe hits the corner of the bat or something at a weird angle, that's going to be definitely at least one extra base than you would find at other ballparks around the league.
Definitely a little different from some stadiums around other leagues.
That is a fly ball to end the inning here. The Braves. Wow. I'm already back at Bradley and it is summer. The Corn Belters are able to tie it up. Both teams have one run. The Lumber Kings have 2 hits, and the Corn Belters only have 1. We are watching the Lumber Kings take on the Corn Belters on Prospect League TV. It's the top of the second inning here, and we are starting this at bat. Kabink throws outside for strike one.
I'm incredibly proud of myself right now because I finally got our scoreboard working, so it is accurate. 1-1 here, top of the second inning. Sorry to interrupt you, Megan. I'm just so proud of this.
Oh, bobbled the ball, and that's going to be close, but the dive to the bag gets Isaiah Thompson out. We have been working really hard on putting this broadcast together with the graphics and everything. You know, it's been a lot of, testing and turning. We're still, working through things.
Number 27.
Definitely a lot of trial and error.
A lot of trial.
There's no question about that.
Shit about it. Camden Bailey up to bat. Bank looking to make a quick inning out of this one after a long first. Outside for ball one. He's kind of settling in. It was, once you could say a rocky first inning. But he's got the flow of things, and he's looking to keep the Lumber Kings at 1.
Definitely keeping them at bay is something that's going to be incredibly important here in this game, because as we get deeper, I'm very worried that the pitching for the Lumber Kings is going to find their stride and put the Belters offense in a peculiar spot. But they're hot right now. They're hot. 10 runs in yesterday's game, as you can see on the bottom of your screen. And they couldn't do anything wrong, it felt like. They kept going through pitchers and pitchers against the Burlington Bees. And ultimately, nothing was really able to stop their offense once they got things going.
Looking here at the lineup for the Lumber Kings, a fair amount of their players on this lineup. That is a fair ball, and it is another close play at first here. A little unconventional 2 plays at first, but that will bring up Kyle Kanda. I'm looking here at the lineup card, and it's interesting because a fair amount of their players that they started today aren't the ones with the best average.
No, and so the thing about that is definitely going to be, averages aren't going to reflect an entire season
Of course,
at this point. There were a couple of guys who were on the roster for the Belters, and they got hot earlier in their college seasons.
Right.
There were a couple that I can think of immediately. There were guys that were batting plus 300 in the first month of their season, and then they tapered off and they were batting 250, 230 towards the end of it. So really, one week of stats is not at all reflective. And if you're the manager, for the Belters, you're not really focusing on what's happened in the first week. You're focusing on what you're seeing in practice. You're focusing on just how the guy is meshing with his teammates.
Right.
That is
Nice
right to him.
hit there by the second baseman first, and that will end the inning. This is what Quebec wanted. A nice quick inning, lower his pitch count from the first inning, and to keep that momentum that Ben Higgins started in the bottom of the first.
Definitely, and you could see a little pep in his step, maybe even a little strut as he was walking off of the diamond, and you love to see that. There's so much swagger from this Belters team, and you really have to be here in the stadium to witness it and just watch the mannerisms that the dugout has. At the end of that one, we had literally everybody in the dugout get up, and they were going out there to congratulate their guys.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that. Something that is so fascinating about this team is, you talked about this yesterday with Braden, but there is so much chemistry for these teams for only playing a few games together. For a lot of teams who come from, different backgrounds, a lot of different schools are coming together. There is such good chemistry right now. You can tell that the dugout is lively and they're having fun and they call each other nicknames, and on the field you can see the defenders kind of are already starting to get to know how the others play, and that is so impressive for a team to get put together that quickly and have good chemistry already in the season.
And there's a saying that was created on Vine that has lived on in infamy for a very long time, and that saying is, "Isn't this great? Just guys being dudes." And that's really what the Belters are being right now. They're just a bunch of guys who are having fun playing baseball, and it's really awesome to see, and I'm really excited. I keep on saying it over and over and over again, but it's true. I'm really excited to see where this team goes and what relationships these guys build as they go on in their collegiate careers and maybe even professional careers.
Absolutely, yeah. So yesterday, we have a new little segment on the show called Has Blake Fallen in Love with Corn Belters Yet? He said yesterday that he was getting there. He's not there yet. So where are we today?
The love has certainly grown after that Ben Higgins home run. Here's the thing. The grass looks incredibly green right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's very easy to be a fan and to say all these nice things when the team is doing well.
Mm-hmm.
But I am incredibly impressed with how this team has orchestrated themselves so early in the season, because you've seen it with a couple other teams like the going back to the Bees again. That's a team that didn't really look like their chemistry has meshed all that well to this point, and that's nothing on them. Those are totally normal growing pains that you're going to see with a team that has never played it before in their entire lives, and it's just very impressive to see a team put it all together this quickly.
Zach Herbert, the third baseman for out number 1. Zach Herbert has been a pretty good player so far. He's been a player to watch for sure. And obviously, this whole lineup has been very exciting, and they've all had different moments of productivity for the Golden Belters, which is always such a positive. Is that that your 8th, 9th hole hitters can still be effective and be beneficial. When you don't have that break in the lineup, it is always so much harder for a team, when a pitcher can have a break of a few batters, but with this lineup, I really don't think there is.
And I mean, we're getting you mentioned it earlier, getting close to the 8 or 9 hole. We've got somebody now who's definitely popped up on my radar after his performance yesterday. Xavier Watson off the bat now, exciting player.
Yep, and so we have a catching substitution. I'm not entirely sure the story behind it. Behind the plate now is number 20, Casey Soley. And so I'm not sure if there was an injury in the first inning or what happened with that. Our team is working to find out, the situation behind that.
Offensively, Soley has seen some action against the Belters in the home opener for the Lumber Kings. He had 3 total at-bats. He didn't have any hits, and he had it was 1 total strikeout that he ended up having in that game. So, he's definitely seen the Belters. He doesn't know our pitching up to this point yet, as he only saw Bodie Gabink for 1 inning. And then in his second game against the Belters, he again had 3 at-bats with no hits. And he was walked once with 1 strikeout. So he's gotten on base 1 time to this point. So I'm not sure if this is the manager, Jack Dahm, for the Lumber Kings making more of a defensive shift, or if he thinks he sees something with the way that Gabink is pitching that he thinks that Soley can take advantage of.
Absolutely, yeah. So if we seem a little off with the lineup for next inning, we are currently working to figure out how this has changed the lineup. We're not sure if it's a catcher for catcher switch or, shout out to our analytics team who is currently working Presto Sports and working on live analytics. The analytics team are really great at their job. They're really intelligent people and have been they've been so huge in helping us with this broadcast and, helping us with the numbers and giving us a lot of information. So we now have number 16, Will Henson up to bat. In the bottom of the order here for the Braves.
And Henson was one of my guys to watch coming into the season. A freshman who really hadn't seen that much meaningful baseball in a little bit. So he's in the starting lineup here, which is incredibly impressive considering how much veteran presence is on this Belters team.
Nice pick there by the third baseman. And that'll be out number 3 for the Lumber Kings. Good inning for them. Halting the Braves. It's a really back and forth game right now. With each new inning, I feel the teams are kind of mirroring each other and just pushing back and not letting the other one get away with any momentum.
Yeah, you're 100% right there. There has been literally no momentum that's really been exchanged between these teams. I guess you could say that there was some initial momentum with the Lumber Kings when they scored that first run, and the Belters really.
With Higgins.
Yes, when Higgins was able to get some runners in there, but I don't exactly think that there's any momentum, and it's really anybody's game right now, as these teams are 1-1 on the year when facing against each other, and both games were kind of a blowout, and so we're seeing something a little bit different here, where it appears that they're going neck and neck for a little while. So there could be a change in the way that the scoring is coming soon, and we'll have to monitor pitching change and who's warming up at the bullpen. Nobody for either team's bullpen right now, so it appears that both managers are going to have their guys on a bit of a larger pitch count, especially with the belters and their deep rotation. You can see pitchers come in, starting pitchers come in for singular innings at a time. It was actually Clayton Johnson against the Lumber Kings in the initial opener, who only ended up pitching, or I'm sorry, he was in the second game. He only ended up pitching one inning, and he was the starter for us.
Right. Yeah, and it's an interesting thing. I mean, major league teams are now doing it. The Tampa Bay Rays have an opener where they will start, a guy for 1, maybe 2 innings to get through the top of the lineup, and then they'll switch in, have a long reliever go, and then closer, which is a fascinating kind of revolutionary thing in baseball. So, you wonder if the Corn Belters are trying it out to see what it may happen, because this league is all about development. We were talking about, the joviality in the dugout, these players laughing, hanging out, having fun, and this is a league for development. I mean, we have a lot of guys with good talent here, but it is mostly to build their skills for when they go back to their college and they can say, like, I learned this at Corn Belters. My teammate, if I'm for Bradley and my teammates from, ISU, there are no ISU players on this team, fun fact.
Unfortunately. I want to root for some of my guys.
Which means Bradley's superiority in this house.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, yes.
Well, you talk about development, and somebody who I definitely know that you're rooting on the development for is Jackson Chatterton.
Oh, yes.
He's going to be a guy who's suiting up for you come next spring.
Yeah, I'm looking for the Braves to beat ISU baseball as much as possible.
They did that quite a bit.
They did that quite a bit. All right, that is a single there by the leadoff hitter Matt Sherman. Fleckenstein got out. He's the only out of the inning so far. He was the first batter while we were kind of talking about, development and players and all of that. And Max Sherman now is residing on first, and he'll bring up Rafe Peterson.
I love that name.
I feel like Blake's about to say I love that name.
I'm going to say it every time he comes up the bat. Every time he makes a play, I'm going to say, hey, Megan, don't you think that's a cool name?
That's a cool name.
You think that's a cool name?
Just like the Corn Belters players, I feel like, us in broadcast, there's only 3 of us on the broadcast team, and I feel like we have done so much work together.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of work.
Sorry to let that laugh out there. That was completely inadvertent.
We have been really working hard on a lot of different areas. We've been really working hard on music, picking some great songs to hear in the stadium. But I feel like now that we've started broadcasting, I feel like we really have a good chemistry between each other already, because just the amount of time we spent working here at the Park Crib, we already have a really good feel of things, kind of just like players do with each other.
I was literally just about to say the same exact thing.
Look at that.
It's very similar to how those guys get together, during practice, and they get to run through drills together, they get to hit together, and I assume they're going out to like team dinners together, getting to learn the Bloomington Normal area from guys who are from around here. But it's happening the same way for all the interns that you see around the ballpark. They're showing up to work every single day. They're putting up banners. They're cleaning bathrooms, and they're editing walk-up songs. And all the while, they're building relationships. And it's a really wonderful thing to see this ballpark in full operation. Because when you're a fan, it's just stuff you're not really paying attention to.
Corn Belters are running for that, and then I think a second baseman with that grab. That was a very long run by Fleckenstein. Not Fleckenstein, because he got out of the Lumber King. I was so focused on what Blake is saying. Will Henson really ran for that one, and it's nice to see, I think the players feel a little more comfortable knowing that, Henson is going to let it out there from second base, and that they know that they are backed up by their own team. That's just got to be a huge comfort, if you're the first baseman, knowing that you don't have to worry about that when there's a guy on first, because your second baseman and your right fielder are going to cover that for you.
Oh, absolutely. As Jeremy Conforti is up to bat now with that monster hit.
That was a wonderfully placed hit. Jackson really couldn't get that, no matter how high he can jump.
Yeah, unfortunately.
But there's 2 outs. We have runners on all bases.
And if I am, I believe it's Chase Beckner up to bat now. I'm imagining this is bottom of the 9th inning in the World Series, bases loaded with 2 outs, and I am coming out swinging for the fences. Hopefully he can hear me up in the press box. But I mean, this is really a critical batter that we're about to see come up, because things could drastically change on the scoreboard if this is it.
Absolutely, yeah. And he is their cleanup hitter, so you know that they trust him in situations just like these to have runners on base and utilize those runners. Not strand them on base when they know that their designated hitter, their cleanup hitters, in the middle of the lineup can bring those guys in. So right now, we saw him swing pretty aggressively on the first pitch strike. He took that one down low for a ball, but you can see, even just in his batting stance, that he's kind of itching to hit it. We've seen a lot of patience so far, but you can see that he really wants to send one far.
And yeah, Bodie Kabink definitely was taking advantage of that with 2 sliders in a row. I think he thought that he could get him to swing at 2 breaking balls that were coming in low there, but he was the wiser on that second at bat.
That would drop, and unfortunately, overthrown by Chatterton, and 2 runs are going to score off of that. And the hitter backer will advance to second on that. That is 2 runs scored here for the Lumber Kings.
And if you're the Belters, that's basically worst case scenario for what you wanted to happen.
Exactly, yeah. We're hoping to get that final out there, but now Weesty is up to bat.
And it was 2 runners that scored there.
I believe that it was 2 runners, yes. Because the bases were loaded.
And now we only have...
And now there are only 2 on.
2 on base. Our scoreboard up there is not reflective of that whatsoever. So now up to bat for the Lumber Kings, number 8, Connor Giusti. A 1 count, as that was strike 1, as we've got a Lumber King going to retrieve the foul ball. As that one is hit right towards Chatterton at shortstop, and he's just going to leg that one over to first and beat it out for Jared Comia to make the catch at first base. So that'll get us out of the inning with some damage mitigated, I suppose.
So I checked with our PA guy, Tommy, and I guess that was only 1 run scored.
Interesting.
I'm not entirely sure how that math works out. You can see even after allowing runs, I'll move the camera here so you can see the Corn Belters players. That's our great but you can see all of the Corn Belt players. We saw Hank Kimbrick out there, and you see those bench guys leaving the dugout to greet their players as they come off the field, and that is just so huge, morale-wise. They've allowed a few runs, and all pitchers are going to allow runs in their career. And making it known that Kabink has a safety net of a team that isn't going to judge him or yell at him for allowing runs is so huge for team morale and just not beating on each other, because yes, this is a competitive league, but it is so important that we focus on development here.
Oh yeah, of course. It is prospect league. These are prospects who are presenting themselves to prospective colleges and MLB teams, and so I really wish we would get to see a local guy like Ryan Cermak maybe come out here for Illinois State University. Unfortunately, he's not playing for my Belters, but I'm really liking the way that a lot of these guys are coming along from a hitting perspective, and someone who's coming up right now, actually, to bat for the normal Corn Belters is number 19, Wilson Zuck, who got, I believe it was his first action of the season just last night in the second part of the doubleheader against the Burlington Bees.
Yep. And it's always nice to see that there is some, rotation of the lineup. You're not seeing the same 9 guys start every game. You see a few of the younger players. I know Hank Hemrick from Bradley University. He only had 1 start in collegiate play, but you saw him. He started on the first home game. So you're seeing younger players, different guys come in and play, because you may keep a consistent top of the lineup, but switching out that bottom lineup to let players come in and just learn and get at bats is so huge.
And I misspoke earlier. It was not Zuck's first action of the season. It was his first action of the doubleheader yesterday. He is batting .571 on the year up to this point in 3 total starts, which are ridiculous numbers by any standard.
And that number just went up with a very nice single through the gap between third and short. You know, the Peterson made a really nice diving grab for it, but he just missed by a few inches. I'm going to bring up Jackson Chatterton up to bat.
And Chatterton is definitely a guy who you want trying to bat in some runs.
Yes, so we saw him make a bunt last night. You know, it was a close game, and you know he advanced the runner, but also he was, I would say, maybe 2 steps away from beating out the throw, which a lot of times on a bunt you don't really see happen. You know, you advance the runner for the purpose of the bunt, but you know Chatterton can beat that out, so that is something for pitchers to be concerned about.
I mean, definitely, the speed. There is just speed across the entire Belters lineup. I mean, you even saw it with a guy like Will Henson, who I didn't realize had wheels on him, with that ball that dropped into shallow right field along the foul line. He legged it back there with absolutely no problems whatsoever. And so there's so much speed that is on this lineup, which is really important in today's modern day of baseball. Is you need all guys to have a complete tool set and be able to play all the 8 different spots on the diamond.
Great enough. Well, he sounds like he's watching baseball from the 1910s, apparently. Oh, that is a double play. Zuck took a little bit too big of a leadoff there at first, and Chatterton got out, and then they were unfortunately able to pick him off at first. And we're going to Kyle Bartman.
Yeah, Bartman, the redshirt freshman from Danville Area Community College, and then Illinois native. I believe he's from Metamora.
All right, we see first base coach talking to the umpire. And a foul ball just got returned. Saw that fly across the 2 dugouts.
And the umpires for today's matchup, we didn't exactly introduce them earlier, but they are Dennis and Caleb George. I don't know if there's any relation for them, but both last names are indeed George, as they have a conversation along the first base line. Not quite sure what it's about. It could be about that overturning that Zuck out. So to me, it did look like the first baseman was able to beat Zuck back to the bag and get a tag beforehand, but we are a couple hundred feet away from being able to see. So
I'm taking a look now at the play that happened. It was really nice. We see here he takes a really big lead off of first. He's really taunting Kent into picking him off. Hopefully, I think he wants Jackson Chatterton to feel a little more comfortable with that big leadoff, but he took way too big of a leadoff. And at that third strike called on Chatterton, that catcher, he made an amazing pickoff throw.
Oh, absolutely. And this is where it sort of comes down to, was that catching change made for an offensive perspective or a defensive perspective? And I think you see the defensive perspective come through there for redshirt junior Casey Soley. That was an excellent throw by him. I wish that the radar gun would have picked up what were the miles per hour on that, because I'm sure they were up in the 70s or 80s. He could have thrown that as a fastball down the middle, and I'm not sure if anybody would have actually hit it. Really impressive defensive.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're totally good.
Just to see, that catcher is thinking of 2 different things. He's keeping an eye on Chatterton, but he also is aware that Zuck is far enough off the bag that he can get a pickoff throw in. So he's focusing on the pitch coming in from Kent, but he's also very clear on first. So having a player that can have those 2 thoughts at the same time and be able to execute both plays is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jared Comia up to bat now, and he can be a really prolific hitter when he's got it all going right for him. And you've seen the defensive side of the game for him today, as he had those 2 outs in the early innings, as there we go. There is that offensive firepower that I was talking about.
It went a little farther than Becker expected, and that is going to score in Bartman, who got on base by a bloop single. So Bartman will score once again, tying up the game.
Just really impressive offensive consistency here from the Belters.
Absolutely, yeah. And, you know, Comia, that was a really nice hit. He was able to pull out opposite field. And we watched as the left fielder, Becker, was expecting it to fall a little more forward. But, I mean, the wind's dead right now, so he just maybe had a nice lift on the ball that brought it a little further.
And I will say that left fielder, he definitely lost that ball in the sun. He had to shade his eyes out there, and that's another factor about this stadium is that when that sun is setting, you can't see anything in the outfield.
Oh no. Yeah. So, you know, we look at the scoreboard up there. I will zoom in on it so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So, yeah, we're at the scoreboard. And you can see first inning, each have a run scored, each team. Second inning, no runs scored. Third inning, 1 run scored each. And hits, 4 hits for each team, 2 runs for each team, 1 error on the Corn Belters. But you can see that this game is looking nearer to each other. And that is so, you know, I think that is really the sign of a good baseball game. You know, neither team is letting the other team get away with anything, get any momentum, and they're just staying on top of each other.
I mean, you're 100% right there. I think that it's so funny to see literally the same exact runs across the board there, 1-0-1 and 1-0-1, and you really got to start questioning. You know, that one error that came in there from Chatterton. Sorry to drag your guy from Bradley University, but if that throw by Chatterton isn't errant, you know, we're in a very different position because I believe that was one of the throws that ended up helping load the bags for the Lumber Kings.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, all players make mistakes. You know, I don't think you see any MLB player with a 100% fielding percentage. You know, by the end of the season.
No Bradley outfielder.
No. You know, you don't see any player with that. And you know, once again, this league is about development. You know, and so when he gets back to the dugout, coach will say, "Hey, you were a little too high on that throw. Maybe next time, take a breath, like take a deep inhale before you throw."
And Chatterton is absolutely a flashy guy who's not afraid to make those throws like that because he has the talent to get it in there. And that was just, I feel like that was one of those times, you know, that's a not something that you're going to see all the time from Chatterton, just because we saw multiple times. He can turn it around when he touches that second base bag and really get it over to first with a lot of accuracy.
Yeah, and now we have Thompson up to bat for the Lumber Kings. They're at the bottom of the order, but you know we've learned that does not stop them from scoring.
No, absolutely not. And Thompson is batting 143 on the season. He only has 2 starts on the year. They both came against the Quincy Gems, so he actually hasn't been in any lineup against the Belters. So I guess it works both ways in the sense that he doesn't know what sort of pitches Gabink is going to be thrown at him, but at the same time, Gabink doesn't know what sort of power that Thompson is working with, and he doesn't know where exactly he can paint that strike zone.
So this is a really nice at-bat here by Thompson. He started off 0-2, and you can see right now he's keeping himself alive. He took a ball, which I would say it was a pretty close call, and he had just hit a foul, so you know he's keeping himself alive. And it's just a very impressive at-bat by someone, you know, hitting 6th in the order, and that just shows that this lineup doesn't end.
That is a
strikeout. That was a pretty impressive swing there. You know, it was a big swing, but you know, once again, these Lumber Kings are patient and they are keeping themselves alive in at bats, and they are looking to rebuild the momentum and restart the mirror game that we have going on so far.
And I love that you bring up big swing there because it sort of relates to another saying: the bigger they are, the harder they fall. The bigger the swing, the bigger the miss. In that instance.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're both Cubs fans here on the broadcast, so you know we've had years of Javi Baez.
Oh, a lot of big swings and a lot of big misses from him. That is absolutely for sure.
No, it's hilarious. I know a lot of Cubs fans say, you know, when I watch Javi swing, it hurts my own back.
Well, now he's bringing that swing to Detroit, and I'm not gonna lie, I miss him quite a bit.
Yeah, his energy. We can see, you know, I looked at Gabink. He was the first one out of the dugout when that inning ended.
Yeah.
I mean, he just hopped out of the dugout. I mean, it wasn't like a walker. Like, he just like did a little skip step and, you know, walked to the mound. So it shows that, like, even though this is such a close game,
He is throwing gas right there.
Exactly.
He is.
You could tell when he walked out of the dugout, he was ready. And he wanted to get on that mound. That is something I love about this Corn Belters team is that they want to be on the field.
Yeah.
You see some collegiate guys who are like, well, I just played a full season for my university team, and then like, am I going to spend my whole summer break playing more baseball?
Mhm.
But these guys, they want to be playing. They are fighting to get in the starting lineup, and I love that Quebec is just hyped to be on the mound. And I mean, that just hit Bailey.
A little bit of an announcer's
Campbell.
jinx there, perhaps.
I'm jinxing the poor. Sorry, Lumber Kings.
But
Sorry, good luck.
I think you hit it right on the head. These guys, the one word that comes to mind for me is hungry. These aren't guys who are looking to take their summer off. These are hungry guys who want to get better. And again, talking about the prospect league, about how this is the whole purpose of this is for these guys to develop and get better. And Gabink is a guy who is already showing a little bit of development early in the season. This is actually his first start, and frankly, I would have loved to have seen him start day one against the Lumber Kings, where he had 4 strikeouts. So in this inning alone, he has half the total strikeouts that he had against the Lumber Kings, which is just incredibly impressive to me.
So Fleckenstein's up to bat. He got out the first time he was up to bat, but solid contact there from the third baseman, looking to turn a double play, and he'll only go to first to get out to end the inning.
And I believe that was Chatterton there with the throw. So a little bit of a redemption arc for him on that play. Actually, I believe that was Kyle Bartman. Pardon me. So Chatterton.
No redemption arc for Chatterton yet.
I think Chatterton actually was moved over to third base back because Bartman started over at third.
They did a weird position there.
And Chatterton's arm, after playing a doubleheader yesterday at short and second, he might be dealing with a little bit of soreness, a little bit of fatigue, and that's completely understandable with the way that he was whipping that ball around there, and also showing up to bat at the plate. So still tied right now, and it's looking like we might see the consistency of the 1-0-1-0 show up on the scoreboard.
I'm looking forward to it, but I think that was a really nice inning there by Quebec. Despite the hit by pitch, he was throwing heat out there. I mean, his pitches besides once got hit by pitch. He seemed really in control of his own zone, and he knew where he wanted to kind of place those balls, which is a lot different than the first inning where he was kind of shaking off Meredith from calling the pitches.
Yes, absolutely.
And now they're kind of more in sync, which is a really good sign for Bradley's defense.
And speaking of Meredith, he's actually up to bat now. But I love how you talk about that, and I feel like the first inning a lot of times is just about feeling out where the ump's strike zone is, because it's different for everybody. It's not going to be the same for George behind the plate now as it would be for the umpires who we had here at the Corn Crib last night.
Right.
So it's just, that first inning, it really is more, it's an experimenting phase. And then second inning, you're starting to find your groove. And then third, fourth is where you really should be seeing some of those strikeouts come in. And that's what Gabink was able to put together last inning. And it looked mighty impressive on the scoreboard.
Meredith will start this inning off with a 2-0 count. Getting ahead is always good when you're the hitter. Getting a little comfortable into the box.
And I'm looking at the scoreboard for the folks at home. If you would like to see where the radar gun speed is at, just look at the scoreboard underneath the Bud Light advertisement. And that pitch by Kent, according to our radar gun, was 98 miles an hour. 98, yes, you heard me correct. And I don't care who you are, MLB, Prospect, League, T-ball. You're not hitting a ball that's coming in like that.
No, that's a walk there for Meredith. A really nice at-bat there. He took that strike. I think he was really patient in that at-bat, and he was like, I don't want to hit that. It was a really good eye move to not swing at that, maybe get a weak pop out, and just to keep that at-bat alive. And, getting on base, which is huge for Cy Kerber, the designated hitter, to come up.
And while we talk about, how nice it is to see Ben Higgins have a powerful hit there, it's not sexy to get a walk, but it's smart baseball, and it's baseball that should be appreciated, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I think a lot of times, with the game, is people are looking for, big hits, big home runs, but there's a lot of, it's in the little moments, with the walks and all of those small hits and those small plays really add up.
No question about it. And I think it's very, very fitting that we're talking about on-base percentage here, as the Corn Belters are wearing some uniforms that are very reminiscent of the Oakland Athletics, who coined Moneyball, the movie starring Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill.
That's a big swing there by Gerber. Kind of the opposite this at-bat than Meredith's, where you can see Gerber's taking a little different an approach. You know, he started off with the ball, and then he took a big swing on that strike. Another strike there, looking to get Meredith out. He is safe at second. A stolen base for Meredith. No outs, so right now they're looking for Kerber to maybe get a single and advance Meredith. I think is really what's on Kerber's mind right now as the 1-2 pitch comes in from Kent. Hit off the bat, and that is good because we eliminated the double play with the stolen base. And he is out at first, but the runner Meredith has advanced to third.
You're in perfect position now as your Xavier Watson. You've got a runner on third, and you've only got one out. So you've got a clean count at this point now. So really, you can take this at your own leisure, depending on what your manager told you and what your first base coach is going to tell you in regards to what pitchers are coming and what you should be hitting at. As the Lumber Kings actually have somebody warming up in their dugout at this point. I can't exactly make out the number as it is a little bit further away from our press box. It might be Jacob Norris or Jack Young over there, as it looks like it's a single-digit pitcher. But we'll know more as we get closer. I believe it actually is Jacob Norris. Yes, it is Jacob Norris, the redshirt freshman from the Des Moines Area Community College.
Watson will take outside for ball two. He's swung pretty aggressively as well this at-bat, but we know from watching him this game in the outfield that he's quick.
Oh, no question about it.
You know, I could see him, getting maybe an infield hit just by beating up the throw. 2-2 count here. Now, we've seen some pretty fast at-bats this inning, but still patient at-bats from the leadoff hitter, Meredith, and now Watson, center fielder. That is a drop third strike, and he will be called out. Meredith will remain at third as Will Henson, second baseman, comes up to bat for the Corn Belters.
And if I'm Will Henson has had multiple hits that dropped between, it looks like the first and second area. He had one last night that really ended up hopping and skipping towards the right fielder. But Fleckenstein right now is leaning a little closer towards first base than the center field area. And so if I'm Henson, this matches up perfectly with my skill set and where I know that I can hit the ball effectively.
I think just right down the second base, if he can just get a nice clean hit off the middle of the bat, out in front of the center fielder, that'll obviously score Meredith, get him on first, and I think that would just be the ideal play here for the Corn Belters.
No doubt about it. As now the Jacob Norris has taken a seat in the dugout as Jackson Kent has found his stride there for a strikeout on Henson with no runs scored.
Yeah, so a few strikeouts are now picking up Kent's heat, and you can see him really, hilariously, just as Gebink did last inning, he is picking up his speed as he warms up and is throwing tosses in the zone that hitters want to swing at but can't hit easily.
No, and I shouldn't really be one to talk about hitting easily as I'm no baseball player myself. But it's nice to see that these pitchers, Gebink and Kent, are getting a little bit longer than we've seen in games previous to work on their craft and really get their arms going. Because Kent, obviously, this is his first game of the season that he was supposed to be playing in the season opener for the Lumber Kings. So it's nice to see him get some reps. And it's nice to see Gebink now. At the top of the fifth, I don't see anyone over in the Belters bullpen getting ready to warm up. And if you're head manager Andy Turner, you're really not hoping to swap out Gebink in the middle of this inning. You really want to make your pitching change.
You can see down there, the bullpen pitchers, they're all kind of just hanging out there. Some of them are tossing balls up and down, maybe starting to get the blood flowing into their pitching arm. But, it's kind of fun to see, like, the three of them are just kind of chilling out there. And once again, it's another, trait of the Corn Belters team is that they just have a lot of fun while learning the game.
Absolutely. And it's been really fun to watch them learn to play the game.
They are such
well.
a fun team to watch.
Number 12, Matt Sherman.
Sherman is up to bat, leading off. He is the leadoff hitter and designated hitter for this team. So right now we have the 1-0-1-0 pattern going on up on the scoreboard. And Sherman is definitely looking to continue that pattern with scoring at least one run here. Getting into the later half of the game, it's the top of the 5th inning. That is a solid hit. First pitch swinging, and that will absolutely be a double.
Meagan with an awesome throw there. I get that he was a little bit out of position in left field as that ball was just able to drop right behind his head back at the track. But he was able to rally that ball really, really well over to second base and get it there just maybe a fraction of a second too late.
That will bring up to bat Rafe Peterson, the shortstop.
Hey, that's a pretty cool name.
It's a cool name, isn't it?
It's a pretty cool name.
Rafe is looking to drive in Sherman, and that was an impressive first pitch swing there. I mean, he really jumped right off the bat and got that solid hit. And another first pitch swinging, and he falls to the ground with the intensity of that swing. Number 9, reminiscent to Javi Baez, as we mentioned previously.
I was just going to say, I've seen a crossover in basketball, but I've never seen one in baseball before as that ended up dropping the batter. I don't know exactly how that happened, if you've got your footing under you, but he was definitely swinging for the fences. And what worries me, if I'm the Belters, is that we've got guys swinging with all their might now, and they're making contact, and that makes me think that maybe they've got Gabink's number and know what he's hoping to do as we get deeper into this one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that you can see they are kind of, as the patience I talked about in the second inning, they are now, getting right at first pitch swings, and it's definitely telling that they're feeling a little more confident about, getting hits, getting men on, over, and in, and that they may have, something has clicked in that last inning, and as Gabink found his rhythm, the Lumber Kings found his rhythm as well.
Yeah, definitely, and unfortunately right now for Rafe Peterson, the count is not in his favor.
Foul ball there.
As it is a 1-2 count now. So those foul balls, sometimes you forget it, but they do indeed count as strikes, and they make the count work against you, regardless of whether or not you made contact on them.
Absolutely. 1-2 count here. No out so far. No one warming up in the bullpen as we see Gabink look in for the sign from Meredith behind the plate. And he will take a long time to kind of settle in. And the pitch outside, that was a very nice strikeout there. High and outside. Definitely, would have been a foul ball if he had made contact. So just out of range of, being able to keep the bat alive. But that was a really nice pitch there by Gabink. That was really good.
First baseman Jeremy Conforti up to bat now, and I've got to say Gabink is he's continuing to find his stride, as I'm not sure what exactly happened there as I was taking a look at my notes, and it appears we have
it was an intentional walk. Yeah, which isn't something we see a lot here, so it is interesting that they made that call.
I gotta wonder why exactly we're looking to have Chase Becker up now instead of Conforti.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're looking for maybe force out at third.
Yeah.
If he can, pull it to the third baseman, if Gabink thinks he can get a soft grounder over to third and get the force out there, maybe, and that will be to the second baseman to the first baseman for a double play. I mean, that worked. That could not have gone better for Gabink, making that call of the intentional walk.
I was taking a look at Conforti's stats to see maybe if he's a great power hitter and you don't want him to have any RBIs and let this game get out of hand here. He's batting .231, so it wasn't that his stats and his hitting was really that intimidating. that truly could not have worked any better, and it just showed not just that Gabink is an excellent pitcher from a technical standpoint. It shows from a mental standpoint that he knows that he can play this game like it's a game of chess, and he's going to beat you every time.
Absolutely, yeah. And the same thing with Meredith is he's paying attention to the game, and the two of them with that connection is they kind of know what the other is going to do, and you could tell the third baseman was ready. If that came to him, he was standing a little closer to the bag than one normally would in that situation, because he was prepared, and they all are prepared to have each other's backs, and that was just a very nice inning-ending double play there for Gabink.
So out now, as I'm taking a look at the mound, it is indeed Jacob Norris out there. He has only one game started, and it was the 12-1 loss for the Lumber Kings, the 12-1 victory for the Corn Belters that he started in. He had 3 total innings pitched. He allowed a total of 3 hits and 5 runs, giving him a 9 ERA. He walked 3 batters, but he had 5 total strikeouts in those 3 innings pitched. So something was going right, and we'll see if he can really put it all together here. And if I'm Norris, what's going through my mind is I want my redemption, essentially. I don't want to be out of the game after 3 innings and allowing 5 runs to score on my team, putting them in a very inopportune position.
Right. And it is such a close game. I mean, we are being separated right now, the 2 teams. Tied at 2-2. It's 5-4 in favor of the Lumber Kings. It is such a close game. And, right now is really a huge turning point in the game to see what bringing in a new pitcher will do for the Corn Belters lineup. As we have number 19, Wilson Zuck, up to bat. Outside for a ball. So we're not seeing the same approach here as the Lumber Kings did in their top half of this inning. We are seeing patience still from these Corn Belters batters. They're not really changing their approach, especially with a new pitcher coming up for the Lumber Kings.
And the last time that Zuck was up to bat, he did actually end up getting on base, and he had that unfortunate pickoff at first. So if I'm Norris, I'm keeping that in mind, that he wants to lean off a little bit more. And if I'm Zuck, I'm keeping in the back of my mind, hey, I need to respect the pitcher a little bit more and keep them honest. But at the same time, I can't force my team to be in a position where we have a double play off of a strikeout.
Right. And I believe, you mentioned Moneyball, and they talk about, stealing bases. Like, a lot of times that is an out rather than an advancement of the runners. And so that is something that teams think about. He was definitely taking a big lead off, and that is a nice hit there off the bat. It is going to be deep, still playable for the right fielder to make an easy grab. And that'll be out number 1 for the Corn Belters to bring up the leadoff hitter, Jackson Chatterton.
That was only a matter of maybe 30 feet being out of the park, and from us being able to hear Raining Tacos for the first time today.
Looking forward to the Raining Taco song here in the PA booth.
Something I think is so interesting about Chatterton is in the modern day of baseball, where you have all that different technology and all those. As that's a hit to the second baseman.
Hit to the second baseman. Hold that right to the second baseman. Looking to start something off here. However, there are 2 outs to bring up Kyle Bartman.
What I was going to say about Chatterton, though, is that he's a guy who doesn't like to bat with gloves, which I think is really interesting and old-fashioned to see that he likes the batter's tape that he has there, and maybe the gloves prohibit him from being able to get through his swing fully and prevent him from having a great grip on the bat. Definitely something we're going to have to talk to him about, find out about, because I find it incredibly interesting. I see very few batters come up nowadays without at least one batting glove.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
I like to call it the Luke Skywalker batting glove.
That is a high foul ball, and it is going to be just out of play there. Very lucky for Bartman there that was out of play, keeping himself alive in the at-bat. 1-1 count here in the bottom of the 5th inning.
So something I'll say about Connor Giusti is he's wearing number 8, and as he came over to the dugout here, I realized he resembles quite accurately Mike Glennon. the
Okay.
NFL quarterback.
That's hilarious.
If you're Mr. and Mrs. Giusti watching this broadcast, I would love your input on the matter. Because from up here, I thought it was Mike Glennon from a second that was running to catch that foul ball.
Big swing there for strike number 2. Kyle Bartman. 2-2-2 up there on the scoreboard. Kyle Bartman looks to keep himself alive in this at-bat. Solid hit right to the first baseman to end the inning.
Could not have been a worse spot for that ball to go, as it was directly to the first baseman, number 36, Jeremy Conforti. But that's going to get us out of the 5th inning and get us into the 6th.
And with that, we will take a quick commercial break here. You are watching the Corn Belters on Prospect League TV. We are back here at the corner crib, and it is an 0-2 count already. Gubin is pitching pretty quickly. He's picking up his pace with Guisti up to bat here. 0-2 count as Gubin gets set and tosses for, he will hit that and toss it over to first, making an easy routine out number 1. And that will bring up number 1, Isaiah Thompson. Here in the top of the 6th inning. It's been a pretty quick paced game, so far.
Isaiah Thompson.
As Isaiah Thompson comes up to bat for the Lumber Kings. Now, we don't have too big of a crowd here, but, it's a really nice day here at the Corn Crib for some baseball. First pitch of the at-bat, swinging. Thompson is staying aggressive. Those Lumber Kings are really staying aggressive. And you can see the lefty here. Timeout called. Thompson steps back into the box. And the umpire gets ready. The pitch comes in. And that is inside for a strike. Nice job there by giving kind of painting the corners there. And, keeping Thompson on his toes, not letting him get comfortable there in the box. Pitch comes in, and that is solid, a hit off the bat. However, that is legitimately the perfect spot for Wilson Zuck to make that catch. I mean, really, that couldn't have been tossed to a better position.
No, I mean, it was exactly like the ball that was hit to Conforti just the last inning. I think Zuck maybe had to take 1 or 2 steps in order to get onto that ball. Regardless of that, as much as it looks like a routine defensive play, still impressive for him to be able to get under that with a bit of sun in his eyes in the outfield.
That would be a bunt. I believe a pinch hitter for the Lumber Kings.
That's Solely, the catcher.
Solely. Okay, I haven't changed my lineup card yet. My apologies. Solely comes in. Bunt. Showing bunt is very interesting with 2 outs. No runners on. very interesting call by the manager, but he will fully swing, and that is, I believe, foul tipped off, but it's an 0-2 count.
I don't think Gabink has been behind on a count to start off against a batter in quite a few innings here, actually,
Yeah.
as we're getting deeper into the sixth.
It's a very solid outing by Gabink so far. I mean, 5 hits, only allowed 2 runs, and he's done a really great job just keeping this Lumber Kings team at bay as he looks in for the call from Meredith.
So with this being Gabink's sixth inning, he will have 9 full innings pitched, and
That is a high ball there taken.
And as I was going to say, barring anything too crazy here, he will have a 2 ERA with, I think it's going to be double-digit strikeouts for 1 full inning or 1 full 9-inning stretch of action seen for him this season.
I mean, good for him, really. That is a low and outside ball. It looks like some of that control he had is slipping just a little bit, which, it is understandable. These pitchers really, a lot of them have pitch count limits. Since this is summer ball, you really don't want to get hurt, sprain anything before going into your season. But Gabink is still putting up an extremely impressive performance. Ball 4 taken there by Sully, and that will bring up number 29, Kyle Campbell, up to bat.
Right fielder.
And you mentioned just a little bit ago, Megan, about the pitch count for Gabink, and he's at 79 total pitches at this very moment. So he's getting up there in his pitch count, but really right now, if you're Gabink, you're just looking to get out of this inning and then let your relief come in after this and close out the game for you.
Yep, we have 2 corn belters. Nope, just 1 up there getting warmed up as Gabink continues this at bat. A nice job there, 0-2 count. Once again, he has started ahead on a lot of his counts, and right now he's just looking at not falling behind, not letting up on his control, being a little more close with his pitches. They are tied, but he does have room to play with his pitches, and that is hit off the bat, and however that will be easily caught there by Ben Higgins. And that will end the inning here for the Corn Belters. A wonderful inning there by Gabink. I mean, that was a lovely outing by him. He has really gone far in this game, pitching a full 6 innings, near 80 pitches on his pitch count. Really, that is a very impressive start here for Gabink.
And if that's the last bit we see of him today, I think he evened out his count just at around 85 total pitches, I believe it was. 82 total pitches on the evening for him. If that's the last bit of action we get to see out of him today, he deserved a standing ovation as he was walking towards the dugout there. We still have, I believe that is number 4, Jacob Norris, pitching for the Lumber Kings as we're heading into the bottom of the 6th inning. Still tied 2-2. 5-4 with the hits right now with the Lumber Kings leading, but that could change very shortly.
Norris did a pretty good job when he came in last inning. He did a really nice job there. Keeping the Braves down, especially at the top of their lineup, when Chatterton and Zuck had gotten on. So he did a really nice job, and he looks to continue that as we come in here to the bottom of the 6th. We are getting closer to the end of the game here. Still tied. You're not like the KCL. We do not do home run derbies, regular extra innings.
I wish that we would just one time for this. And really quickly, something I wanted to bring up about the ball and strike ratio right now for the Lumber Kings and the Belters. The ball strike ratio for the Lumber Kings right now is 30 balls to 41 strikes.
Okay.
For Gabink on his own, he had 22 balls and 60 strikes thrown,
wow.
Which is an insane ratio to have all on your own, considering that the Lumber Kings have gone a little bit deeper into the bullpen and brought Morris out for this one. Pardon me, Norris.
Comino up to bat. We've seen Comino successfully get on base this game, and he's been doing a very good job so far, being a stalwart here in this game for the Corn Belters as he steps into the box and he stares down Norris. Norris has really nice, clean, white cleats.
They are, aren't they?
That is a first pitch off the bat, and that is a close play first, but the first baseman easily gets him out in 40. That was a really quick at-bat there. You know, kind of keeping that pace that the Lumber Kings were having, a really quick first pitch swinging. And now it seems that the Corn Belters themselves are changing their tune just a little bit, being a little more aggressive on at-bats, seeing if they can put pressure on the pitcher.
Absolutely, and if you want to put pressure on a pitcher, you bring Ben Higgins up to the plate.
That is a first pitch single there for Ben Higgins. I mean, that was a beautiful hit. He popped one down in his first at-bat as well. And Higgins is just a machine at getting on base. And it will bring up Peyton Meredith, the catcher.
And something that I want to bring up quickly about Higgins, as Meredith doesn't take his stance at the plate, is that Higgins' range of hitting is basically everywhere on the diamond. His walk-off home run was right field, and that one you saw was to shallow left, right in front of the left fielder. So he can make great contact, and he can push that ball just about wherever he wants it on the diamond.
And he is going for the steal, and it's going to be close, and he's going to be out.
Yeah, he just was just a step behind there as Soley was able to beat him out. And Soley really has just sort of put together an impressive defensive performance here that really isn't going to show up on the stat sheet as a catcher. And I see why, he had that change to be the catcher for the remainder of the game, because he really is a talented player.
And interestingly enough, he is a left-handed catcher. No, he's a right-handed catcher, sorry.
Well, it's nice to it's nice to see somebody who's a righty catcher. A little bit of parity there.
It's really nice to see how well and how their minds are in the game so far. As the 1-1 pitch comes in for ball 2. Yeah. Meredith steps back into the box. Looking down, Norris, trying to get him a little shaky, even though there are 2 outs. Time is called. Meredith steps back into the box, adjusting his helmet. I know a lot of baseball players have a lot of small little routines that they do just for their own comfort. 2-1 pitch, and that is called a strike on the swing. That was a check swing. He did not pull back in time for that to be a ball. You could tell kind of Meredith really realized he didn't want to swing at that pitch, but it was just too late.
Yeah, sometimes you've just bit off a little bit more than you can chew there as the batter. And unfortunately, that was going to count as a strike for the Belters.
And that he did not swing on that. So it's going to be a full count here on Meredith. 3-2 count.
And it's crazy how that Higgins out really just sort of altered this inning, because if Meredith is to strike out here, that's the end of the inning for the Belters.
Exactly, yeah. And he will take the walk, putting another runner on for the Corn Belters to bring up Cy Kerber, the designated hitter. Cy Kerber definitely is a power hitter. And I think right now this is the perfect opportunity. As a team, usually home runs are great. It's not something you usually want to ask for because it kind of kills the rally. Sometimes there's a lot of hot button issues around home runs and how you want to score. But Cy Kerber is a very strong hitter, so you could see a home run out of him here. First pitch swinging, that's going to be fouled way back. It was a little behind on that one. I think Norris is pitching a little faster than Kent was. I mean, he's hitting 90, and Kent did have a few high pitches, but I think Norris is consistently, in the 90s, and that is a pickoff attempt there at first. Meredith is safe there at the bag. As you talked about, I think, the Higgins out is just a huge turning point right here in this inning, and it could be for the game. It's one of those kind of pivotal moments that you recognize. Another pickoff attempt there. That is 2 right there. He's trying to keep Meredith pretty close to the bag. Doesn't want to see him do another steal. We've had some successful steals today for the Corn Belters, but also we just had Higgins get out. So really, it's an interesting strategy that they're playing here. Solid hit there off the bat for Kerber, and that is going to be a double and a run. Will score. Meredith is hauling it around the bases, and Kerber will stop at second with a double. It is now 3-2 for the Corn Belters, taking the lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Meredith put the burners on there. He was he was more than halfway around second by the time that ball was even picked up, and he was coming down the home stretch to score by the time that it looked like the thrower out at center field was getting ready to rally that one back out and prevent a run. But now the Belters in the driver's seat, 3-2 count, and we went from a full count with Meredith with 2 outs to now 2 outs with a runner scored with 2 batters getting on base with the previous 2 batters.
We have another fast player here. Watson is a very quick guy. And the first pitch, and he will swing, and that is a very, very high pop out to end the inning here. However, the Braves, oh my goodness, I'm still a Travi. The Corn Belters take the lead. It is now 3-2. 6 hits to 5 once again. Corn Belters on top. So that has been a very huge inning here for the Corn Belters. They have always been behind, playing catch up each time that they have scored, because the Lumber Kings have always scored first. But now, this is the first time this game that the Corn Belters have a definitive lead, and Gabink is out again.
Yeah, I'm really just sort of perplexed at his longevity in this one. You know, he went from only 3 innings pitched to now he's going on 7 in this game alone. And so I gotta wonder, you know, where does fatigue set in for him personally? And I wonder if his pitch count is going to be closer to 110 at this point. He's definitely, I see no way that he doesn't reach 100, but I wonder if he's going to get closer to 110 total. And after this one, I don't know the next time we'll see Gabink being as he'll definitely need some days rest on that one. And the Belters are definitely going to have a little bit of a break in their schedule, which will allow him to do that.
Yeah, so, you know, I think it's really great to see him play this long game here. You know, a lot of times once the team, you know, you've seen the MLB, once the home team gets the lead, they'll usually take out the starter, put the relievers to go the last few innings. But it's so nice to see that this Corn Belters, you know, management staff trusts Gabink to finish out this game.
Yeah, absolutely, and he has 100% earned their trust with this one, only allowing 5 hits. Up to this point, I think it's 4 or 5 strikeouts that he has been awarded up to this point. So just really impressive stuff by Gabink as he gets set to take the first batter of the inning, and the first batter up to bat for the Lumber Kings, Nick Fleckenstein, the second baseman, as that's a 1-0 count now. So Gabink in a peculiar position for himself, as he really doesn't get behind all that often on the ball and strike counter. As that is a 1-1 count now, as he was just able to paint that corner. I initially thought it was going to be a ball. Umpire did not agree with me.
It's really nice to see that he still has that control and is still able to paint corners despite being in the upper 80s with his pinch count right now, and still throwing 95. That is quite impressive. You know, even you see Major League pitchers, as they progress throughout games, you know, there are pitch people who drop just a couple of miles per hour. But Gabink is just heating up, and it's so nice to see that he is really just going far with the Corn Belters.
So for the Lumber Kings' last inning, I believe we missed a defensive substitution. Tag Golert came in to substitute as an outfielder, as that one is hit to the shortstop and caught by Jared Comia for the first out of the inning. Tag Golert, actually from Toronto and Ontario area in Canada, he's actually a high school senior, is what is showing up on my class, committed to Missouri State University. So a guy who's going to be in this neck of the woods in Normal, Illinois, playing in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Yep, he's joining the Valley, and this is the end of Gabink's game. I mean, you can hear the cheers from the crowd. I mean, listen to that.
Understandably so. He has earned the respect of the fans here today, as he just.
And here comes his team, right out of the dugout, and they are just celebrating with him on that wonderful performance there.
So 87 total pitches for Gabink, and I wasn't able to quite see the number of the pitcher coming in for a little bit of relief pitching there. And I'm just now getting a look at the back of the jersey, and it appears that was number 8. I think that was for the Corn Belters, and number 8 for the Corn Belters is Adam Wibbenmeyer, who is a freshman going to Southwestern Illinois College. And Wibbenmeyer has 2 total innings pitched on the season. He had his appearance in the second game of the season against the Lumber Kings. He allowed 5 hits, 4 runs. He had 3 strikeouts. So this is a guy who the Lumber Kings know, and he knows Lumber Kings, and it looks like he's feeling comfortable out there, throwing in the mid-80s mark with 1 out here at the top of the 7th inning.
In his last appearance, he had no walks and 3 strikeouts.
Quite impressive.
I mean, right now, 1 out, you really want to see him, finish the rest of this inning, and maybe, we're not really sure how long he'll pitch for. Maybe he will go the rest of the game, or he might just go 1 inning and they'll put in someone else just to get them experience. They also do have 2 days off, Monday and Tuesday. The Corn Belters do not play before returning here on Wednesday, so they might put him in a few innings and trusting that he will get the rest he needs if he does go the distance tonight.
And I mean, even if he does go the distance tonight, we've talked about it multiple times, you have such a deep bullpen afforded to you with the Belters, with guys like Luke Carlson. You've got Carson Bonaparte, who's been moved around in that bullpen as well. We saw him a little bit last night. Caleb Jacobs, Clayton Johnson, JT Miller, and Jack Feely, all guys who I feel very confident in, having a couple of days rest. They haven't really seen any action, and some people that you can really put in there in a pinch if need be.
First pitch swinging there by the designated hitter, Matt Sherman. I believe Matt Sherman has led off the inning 3 times this game, which is quite impressive. And that is going to be a pass to the third baseman down the left field line, and they're going to try to cut him off at second, but the throw is quite close, but he will still be safe. That was an impressively close throw there by Higgins out and left.
And I took a deep breath in. I don't know if it picked up on the mic, but I thought Higgins actually was going to be able to beat him out. That is 2 times now this game that Higgins has used his absolute cannon of an arm to attempt to pick off a runner at second base, and he nearly did so there.
Peterson now up to bat. He's got 1 man on, and Sherman, for the designated hitter, is actually quite a quick guy. So, maybe a bloop single here for Peterson could see them tying up this game. It's a 0-0 count right now. Wibbenmeyer pitches, and that is a foul tip there. Wibbenmeyer is starting off, he's pretty, I think, well rested. And so it'll be nice to see, what he can do coming off a lot of rest and coming in with a really close game. I mean, it's a 1-run game right now. And so, we'd like to see Wibbenmeyer just pull out some really nice pitches here. That was a nice one as Peterson fouls it back.
So, talking about Peterson really quickly, batting .273 on the season. He's got 1 home run, 4 RBIs. He struck out only a handful of times and has been walked only twice on this season. And I believe that one of those walks,
And that will get down for a hit, and Meagan is chasing it down, and the runner, Sherman, will score, and that ties up the game 3-3 here in the top of the 7th inning. Higgins really tried to go after that, but, as fast as he can run, and he did get there pretty quickly, that is still a double for Peterson, and that's going to bring up number 36, Jeremy Conforti, up to the plate and see if they can get the go-ahead here with a runner on second and only 1 out.
Yeah, definitely a little bit worrisome to see the score even like that. But when it's a 1-run game, there's very little margin for error if you're a pitcher. And so Wibbenmeyer has been put in a very peculiar position to start out, but he looks to be getting his footing under him a little bit out there as he's throwing a little closer in the strike zone. I personally thought that one might have grazed the top of the window. Umpire did not agree with me.
Webenmeyer taking his time, and that is a brutal timed called timeout there by Conforti because he had his leg up. I mean, he was ready to throw that pitch. And so that was really strategic there by the Lumber Kings to try and throw Webenmeyer off his rhythm. That is a ball that, he's throwing a lot of close pitches in the zone. Of course, we are quite a couple hundred feet away, but we can still get a pretty good look at the plate.
And I mean, it's definitely, he's definitely going to go through some of the growing pains that we talked about a little bit earlier with Kubank, how he was throwing some balls earlier, which led him into some full counts. And it's just going to be sort of feeling out where that strike zone is as well. There's a little bit of a learning curve coming from the bullpen to be right out there on the mound as of now, but it appears that Webenmeyer has found it there as he's got his first strike of this at-bat.
That was a very nicely placed pitch there in the corner. High foul ball, way back. That's going to be on the concourse. Way out of play there. Not even close. And that is a 2-2 count now. Webenmeyer's done a good job bringing himself back in the count. Getting Conforti to swing at those pitches, make some contact, hopefully get some soft contact that will lead to another out here. Another foul ball, sharply hit off the bat. You can see there at the shortstop position, Chatterton is kind of following around Peterson. You can kind of see that he is following him as he takes a lead off, which is quite an interesting move to do as a shortstop. Usually you do want to position yourself close to the bat, but it is an interesting move there as he kind of mirrors him.
Yeah, and Webenmeyer takes a look back there to just keep Peterson honest, make him tag up at the bag. And Henson is definitely he's sort of inkling closer towards the bag in an attempt to possibly pick off the runner.
Yeah, but that was I was gonna say. Pitch comes in, that is a high and outside, a little. I think he released that a little off the fingertips there for it to be that high. The catcher really had to stretch up for that one, but it is a full count now. One out in the inning here, one runner on second base, taking a pretty nice lead off here, and that will be a strike out for Webenmeyer. That getting Conforti to swing at that outside pitch was very impressive, for that at bat. And it will bring up number 37 here.
Number 37, Tag Cutler.
And Tag Fowler is up here, and he was the defensive replacement for left fielder. So they've done a lot about defensive replacements, and that is a pickoff attempt there by Webenmeyer to attempt to keep Peterson close to the bag. He really tried there to get him. It was a little bit of a, close thing to see if Peterson was going to run or who was going to cover the bag. But Webenmeyer, had faith in his defense and tossed it over there. And just keeping him, that is a solid hit off the bat there. And the center fielder is going to position himself under it to make an easy catch to end the inning. And that brings us to the 7th inning stretch here at the Corn Crib.
I'm definitely going to stretch my legs a little bit there. It was nice to see Xavier Watson get under that ball. Xavier Watson, pardon me. It was nice to see him get under that ball, place himself well there. And if you're Gollard, that one hurts a little bit. Seeing as he's a power hitter, he's batting .091 on the season, but he has a home run, so that he can go yard, and he can essentially completely change the flow of the game when you've got another runner on base, and that's one of the things that you're really going to be looking for if you're a manager for the Lumber Kings, is to have that sort of power hitting in your lineup now as we get deeper into this one, and one run can really change the outcome and put you from the loss column into the win column.
Absolutely, yeah. So we will allow Norris to continue warming up here as the 7th inning stretch comes to a close. At the Corn Crib, you're watching the Normal Corn Belters take on the Clinton Lumber Kings here on Prospect League TV. We are back here in the bottom of the seventh at the corner crib. Second baseman Will Henson up to bat. First pitch, swinging for a strike, fouled back directly into the net. Norris is not slowing down here, 86 miles an hour on that radar gun. Henson steps back into the box, and he's looking ready to take a hit. He is really hoping to get an extra run here for the Corn Belters. We are getting later into this game, tied 3-3 here. With the prospect of extra innings looming upon the team. You can see, he's really getting in the box and he's anticipating these pitches. 2-1 count now. No outs in the inning just started. And Henson is doing a nice job anticipating pitches, yet still being able to back off. Not a lot of batters are able to halt themselves from swinging at a pitch that might be outside the strike zone. But Henson has been doing a good job so far with his patience this at bat.
And that's definitely something that you don't really think about a lot in baseball is somebody's like center of gravity and their balance. But Henson is definitely showing right here that he definitely has that strength and that center of gravity to allow him to sort of pull back on a ball that he was thinking about going after.
That'll be strike number 3 for Henson. It was a nicely fought at bat. He ended up swinging at a pitch that I think he was just a little bit above, but it was still a good at bat for him, and it is now 1 out here, and that will bring up Wilson Zuck.
Zuck he's had one of those days where like I've seen so much positive out of him, and I want to continue to see him build off of that here in a tie game now where he's playing a really meaningful at bat.
Absolutely, it's really nice to see these players, have these hot streaks where they have some games where they have multiple hits and kind of can find themselves in that position where they are doing very well. That is a foul ball here, 0-2 count on Zuck, and he'll step back into the box.
And we mentioned earlier, Zuck is batting .571 on the season.
Another foul ball, pretty much in the same place as the first one here. So you can see Zuck is kind of hitting. He's still a little behind the pitch. I think he's still anticipating a little bit slower of a pitch than Norris is giving him. But it would be nice to see him make some contact that would put the ball in play. However, that is strike out number 2 of the inning for Norris. So he's really finding the groove here in his third inning of play.
Up to bat now, number 4, Jackson Chatterton.
Chatterton's been having a little bit of a rough game today. Not what you usually see out of him. And of course, all baseball players, slump and they have games where they're not seeing the ball really well. But, Jackson Chatterton is at the top of the lineup for a reason. And I think for him, he really would like to get something started here.
And something I'll say is that when Chatterton, when he's on, the Corn Belters, their offense is on. When he's batting well, and he does that very frequently, which you've seen in the run categories as this team has scored double-digit runs in half their games up to this point. He really can put it all together and put this team in an awesome position to have some really, really crazy run totals at the end of the night. Chatterton right now is batting .273 with 6 runs scored, and he's been walked a total of 4 times.
And he showed bunt there. That was quite an interesting play there by Chatterton. Once again, showing bunt. Maybe he wants to put a bunt down the third base line because we know he can outrun throws. Maybe that's his way of getting on base. But it is a 2-1 count now. And he will take ball 3 down and low inside. It looks like Norris has been really outside the zone so far. This at-bat, we've seen him with pretty good control, but this at-bat has seemed a little rocky for him. As Chatterton, he hasn't really made a good swing yet. I don't know if he's really just waiting back on the count. He did think that was going to be a ball. He is not pleased with that call from the umpire. I think the 2 strikes that he has on the count so far, he did not think they were strikes. And that is, something that frustrates batters is when they disagree with what is a strike and what is a ball. Because he was ready to take that walk. But it's a full count now. And that is a strikeout for him. And Chatterton is visibly, displeased with the umpire and is talking to him, a little bit about, his calls. And And I'm sure that Chatterton will talk to Turner, about how that at bat went, because it is a developmental league.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Chatterton had a great eye there. And what's interesting about baseball is the strike zone is going to be different for different umpires, and a different umpire might agree with him, a different umpire might not have agreed with him, and so. As this is a developmental league, they're going to go back. They're going to look at film. They're going to see, what exactly that strike zone was looking like, and whether or not Chatterton needs to start looking at those pitches, or if they were pitches that he in fact should have been, keeping away from on a full count. And those looked like they were fringe pitches. They looked like they were just either inside or just outside of the strike zone. Really too hard to tell from up here. As we've got Wibbenmeyer now doing some warm-up on the mound, and the rest of the diamond and the defensive team for Warren Belters get some throws in, keeping their arms warm, the blood flowing.
Top of the 8th here at the Corn Crib. It's been a very close game. We are tied at hits and tied at runs, 3 runs each team, and 6 hits for each team. And it's just been a very close game. It's been some really good baseball to watch. These two teams are very competitive with each other. And it's nice to see them, working through the different, things they need to work on as this game goes on. Watching the progress, even just, in these games.
Yeah, absolutely. Up to bat now.
Number 8 will come in, and he is digging into the plate. He is ready to start off this inning with a bang. Number 8 here, Connor Weisting. 0-1 on the count. That was a nice pitch there. However, it is called a ball. Wibbenmeyer is looking for the signal from Meredith, and he will take the throw. And that was really close, and it looked like Weisting wanted to swing at that. But he refrained, and that is called a ball, so it's a 2-1 count now. Pitch comes in, and that will be a strike. That was a big swing there by Weisting, looking to make some contact. Always important when the leadoff hitter gets on, late in the game here, as Wibbenmeyer tosses, and that is a drop third strike. And Weisting will be tossed out at first. He really booked it down there, so that is a really nice hustle there by him.
And that was a textbook throw there by Meredith as well. Just sort of got up off of home plate, sort of walked his way over to the mound to get himself in proper position in order to throwing it. And he just got it over to Camilla for an easy first out. And for Wibbenmeyer, you're feeling pretty good after that one. You've got one batter down as we head back to number 1 for the Lumber Kings, and that is number 1, Isaiah Thompson, the center fielder.
He will take a strike on the first pitch of the at-bat. 1 out here. Wibbenmeyer tosses, and that is a solid hit off the tip of the bat directly to Chatterton there at short. Really, the perfect place to hit it. When the defender doesn't even have to move, just stick his glove out, you really couldn't ask more than that on defense. And this has really been a defensive duel here between both teams so far.
Yeah, absolutely, a defensive duel, and one of the key defensive players that we've seen in this game up to bat now, number 20 for the Clinton Lumber Kings, the catcher, Casey Soley.
Strike 1 there, called strike against Soley. Left-handed hitter against right-handed pitcher here as Wibbenmeyer comes in with a fast pitch outside for ball 1. Shirts have changed here from, Gabing, who tossed 6.1 innings, lefty, and then, Wibbenmeyer coming in, tossing from the different side of the mound. And that'll be strike number 2 on the swing by Stole.
And if you're Wibbenmeyer, you are 1 strike away from getting out of this inning and having 3 batters up and 3 batters down.
Absolutely, and that is such a huge thing for a pitcher, and the pitcher confidence. And that will be it. 3 up, 3 down for Wibbenmeyer as we go to the bottom of the 8th here at the Corn Crib.
That was a beautiful pitch by Wibby. That one, I personally thought he was going to go high and a little bit outside there. with maybe a bit of a slider curveball scenario. But that was an excellent pitch, and it just dropped right before it got to home plate, and it fooled Sully. It fooled me. And if Sully made contact with that one, it would have been swinging for the fences. He got everything behind that one, but ultimately, that was to no avail, and now we move to the bottom of the 8th inning, where the Belters will be back up to bat. And if you're the Belters, what is your offensive approach here as we're heading into this inning?
I think patience. I mean, they've been doing so well, staying calm in their at-bats. We saw them change up their rhythm just a little bit, getting ahead of the count and swinging at those first pitches. But I don't think it was working for them as well as it worked for the Borgardt Kings. So I think going back to that more patient approach is what's going to help them, hopefully, take the lead here in the bottom of the 8th. And we have the top of the order up here with Bartman leading off, which is just huge. I mean, Bartman has been pretty consistent, and, you just want a guy to get on. Mia and Higgins are big hitters here for the Foreign Belters. To have just one guy on, and, even if that comes with maybe an out or two, whether it be a sac fly, a fielder's choice, but advancing those runners and, bringing them home and just getting one run here, the pitching has been stellar so far this game, and just to trust that your pitchers will carry out the end of the game, it's just really nice for your batters and your pitchers to know you have each other's backs.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bartman batting .364 on the season at this point. He's definitely had the Lumber King number in recent history, as he had 2 RBIs in the season opener. Only struck out one time against them. Bartman also coming into this one with 2 runs scored against the Bees last night.
First pitch swinging there by Bartman, and that is foul. 0-1 count here as we settle in, and Norris still up there on the mound. That pitch clocked in at 62, which is a 30-mile-an-hour difference from what he was pitching last inning. And that is a solid hit there off the bat. Looking for some drop. That is a very, very nice catch there in the outfield for out number 1.
Yeah, great play there by, I'm not quite sure. I think that's Kyle Campbell out there. Might be number 29. It's hard to see with the net in front of me here. But that was an excellent play for him to accelerate and adjust his body and his shoulders to get underneath that ball and dig it up, sort of in a sense, and bring it in his glove and keep no runners on base here.
Yeah, up to bat here. We've seen some power from him today. And, this was the perfect place to have a runner on. No advance to second. Really, if you were the Four Belters, you would have hoped that Bartman's hit would have dropped just a few feet sooner to get in front of that right fielder, and that with that pass ball, wild pitch, you could advance Bartman to second. However, it is one out with Kamiya at the plate, and he will take a big swing there. He really wanted a piece of that, and now it's a 1-1 count here.
Kamiya, an Indiana native, hometown St. John, going to the University of Illinois. So a local guy here.
That is a high foul ball that was just barely in play, but really there was no way Weasty was going to get there. With the amount of foul territory that has to be, that is the largest foul territory I think I've actually ever seen in a baseball stadium.
Yeah, there's a lot of ground to cover, and that definitely makes it a little tougher to get over there. But it's nice in the sense that if that ball is hit foul and you're a defender and it falls in that area, it's not the first row stands, and it is an area where you can actually go and field it.
Right, absolutely, and that is a solid hit there off the bat. And despite a diving attempt, Kamiya is going to round his way to third, and he's getting the signal to go to third, and they are going to hold him here at third, and that is a slide-in triple for Kamiya. That is really wonderful to see if you are the Corn Belters, because we now have a runner on third and only one out.
And Kamiya is definitely someone who you should be expecting to see in the order move his way up. I believe he's batting third in the order right now for the Belters, but we could even see him move up maybe to the second range, although I feel like third is great for him at this point. But what I'm trying to say is it's excellent to see him getting so much time in that starting lineup.
Higgins up to bat now. Higgins has been huge in clutch situations so far for the Corn Belters this season. We watched him take it inside for ball one, and he really takes pressure very well. He did get the walk-off RBI last night, and so he is looking to put the Corn Belters ahead again.
And what I'll say is that Norris, you can see that he is definitely trying to keep that ball away from Higgins while trying to get him to swing on it with the 2-0 count to start.
Absolutely, that is a nice strike there. That was a really solid pitch there if Higgins wanted it, but I think him playing it patient is the smart move for the Corn Belters right now on the 2-1 count.
I think a pro MLB comparison for Higgins.
That's a solid hit there, and that is going to score a run. Higgins through the gap between first and second. An easy single there, and that's going to score Jared Comia to give the Corn Belters a 4-3 lead here in the bottom of the 8th.
I mean, that was an awesome play there by Higgins. I was going to say his pro comparison from an MLB standpoint, he reminds me a lot of Kyle Schwarber, another Cub from around here.
Absolutely. No, yeah. Kyle Schwarber's a great, comparison for him. And that's going to bring up Peyton Meredith up to bat. It would be nice to see, the Corn Belters get a few insurance runs here as we get to the end of this game. But you know what? We're in the lead, and that is going to be a stolen base attempt here by Higgins, and he will be called out. That is really tough for the Corn Belters. Instead of having a guy on first that maybe could score on a double, I think Higgins is a little slower than Comia or Chatterton are, but still having a guy on with 1 out is better than having no one on with 2 outs for Meredith.
I mean, that's not a very controversial thing to say at all, Megan. And that's the second time today that he has been in a position like that. And that one's just hit straight to the second baseman, tossed over to the first baseman. And that's now going to get us into the final inning, and it's only a 1-run game.
It is only a 1-run game here. And it is a close game. We've seen the Lumber Kings respond to the Corn Belters call and vice versa. So it'll be very interesting to see how the top of this inning goes. If the Corn Belters can stay in it, it'll be our last, play of baseball here for this game. But we will see. You're watching the Normal Corn Belters on Prospect League TV. We are back here at the Corn Crib as Meredith throws it down to Jackson Chatterton to signal Campbell coming up to bat. Last 3 outs here for the Lumber Kings if they cannot get anything offensive started here. It's been a really tight game here, and Wibbenmeyer has been very strong here for the Corn Belters. He did a great job picking off where Gebenk left off, and that is a first pitch swing off the bat, and that's going to drop for a single here for Higgins, and he's going to toss that back in to Chatterton, who will cut it off and make sure that the runner cannot advance. But it will bring up Fleckenstein, and Fleckenstein has not done a lot at the plate today.
Yeah, he's had 3 at-bats and no hits for him up to this point. So if you're Wibbenmeyer, this is someone you want up if you're looking to get your first out, somebody who's having a tough start to the day.
Wibbenmeyer is being pulled from the game, and we are going to bring in the bullpen, who was warming up there. We will watch as another Corn Belters pitcher gets an ovation from the crowd and his own team. Wibbenmeyer had a wonderful performance there, but I really do think because it is only a one-run game, the coaching staff wants to make sure that they are locked in.
And it looked like I saw 3 at the top of that jersey. So this is either Luke Carlson or Cameron Glick, and that's going to be 37. I don't have it 37 on my roster. I think, yes, that is actually Spencer Smith. And Spencer Smith last night had an excellent relief game. He came in and was throwing absolute heaters left, right, and center to get the Belters out of a blowout essentially against the Burlington Bees. So taking a look at his player log, last night was actually his first bit of action. Pitched 2 innings, no hits, no runs allowed, 4 strikeouts, and this is a guy who you want in a close game to come in and get you 4 or 5 strikeouts, maybe if that's what the situation calls for, and really get you that a victory in a game that's 1 run. And so Spencer Smith is actually a Bloomington, Illinois native, currently attending Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, SIUE. He's a junior there, actually, so we've got a bit of a veteran presence on the mound, which should come in very, very handy.
Yeah, a lot of our defensive starters here are younger players, and so it is kind of nice to have that older presence there on the mound, kind of who's had experience both in, the Prospect League or, the Colonel's Collegiate League and leagues like those around the area, and to, show that he has been in these positions before, that he can carry his team. There is only 1 runner on first, but the coaching staff is playing it safe, not wanting to push Wibbenmeyer too much, and there is another Corn Belters pitcher, warming up in the bullpen over there. But right now, our focus is on Sam Smith. And thank you to our PA guy, Tommy, next door, for letting us know who came in. If you do hear his voice, that is Tommy.
Yeah, he definitely saved us by letting us know that was Spencer Smith. The Belters have not updated their roster at this point.
Bring back to the Fleckenstein at bat here. I think right now, Smith is really gunning for a ground out double play. As Meredith is going to head up to the mound before a pitch is even thrown. Maybe talk a little bit of strategy of what he has seen so far from the catcher's perspective as Fleckenstein, Sherman, and Peterson, the 3 guys up to bat now, and what they have shown throughout the game. So I think you can definitely, the 2 of them communicating is a really good sign for the Corn Belters, knowing that they are on the same page and not having any, mishaps where the pitcher might throw a little more outside than Meredith would have expected, leading to a runner advancing.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're Meredith, you've been in the bullpen with these guys before. You've seen what their pitches are going to be. You're familiar with your guys. But that can only be so much.
Pull down the bunt there, and that is unfortunate because that was really no man's land there. There was no one covering first there, and a very intelligent play there by Fleckenstein, who's not been on base a lot this game, so it was really intelligent for him to not only advance the runner, but to also advance himself and beat out those throws.
And by Smith there, that was excellent hustle to actually get to the bag too. Ultimately, I think he had Fleckenstein beat out at the base there, but the problem was he just wasn't able to corral that ball in enough time.
Yep.
And he bobbled it. Fleckenstein was able to get on the bag, and essentially now we're at a 0-out situation with 2 runners on base.
Yep, and Sherman is showing bunt, which is interesting for the leadoff hitter and designated hitter. You'd usually expect, a person in either the designated hitter position or the leadoff position to take a full swing because there are no outs.
Yes.
A double play can't
Yes.
end the inning here, so you want to see him, maybe get a single. But no, he is showing bunt. It is out of play for Meredith to reach. And it is an 0-2 count here, so Smith is ahead in the count right now, which is a very good sign for him. I think his strikeout right now is exactly what he is looking for as a pitcher.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If I'm Smith, I'm going right down the middle, and I'm throwing something that I know this guy can't hit, but he's going to want to swing at. And if you can get out of this with an out, as now it looks like the count is 1-1 right there. So we're going to need 2 more strikes in order to get out of this at bat. But if you can retire this batter,
And he
that
showed
was
bunt
foul.
again there, and he's really gunning for that bunt, which is interesting. You know, it worked the first time.
Yeah.
You know, Funkenstein, you know, you want to see if it is going to work again with Sherman. He's a fast guy, and, you know, if they put it down in the same exact place, will it happen again, or will the Corn Belters be prepared when that situation comes? So it'll be interesting to see what plays out here at this 1-2 count pitch.
Well,
and he's going to take a bold swing, and that is a strikeout there for Smith, which is huge for him. You know, putting a game-ending double play on the line. No runners at third, which is also a good sign to prevent a sacrifice fly here, as Rafe Peterson comes up to bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And Peterson, I feel like the reason they were trying to set up that bunt is because Peterson is a guy who's been batting in runners up to this point. He has 1 RBI and he has 1 run scored on the day. So if you can just get a guy over to third and you can get Rafe Peterson to come up to bat and hit something deeper into the outfield with a man on third, you know, you're in excellent position if you're the Lumber Kings to have this game tied up and be looking to go to the bottom of the 9th inning. 1-0 count now. 1-0 and 1 out.
Smith with the pitch, and that is a long fly ball out there, and that will be caught, and he's going to throw to third, and the third baseman is going to handle that, Bartman, with a lot of care there. You really, don't want that to get past him. It was a really nice heads-up play there by Zuck trying to get it in to stop the runner there at third, but you know what? 2 outs here, no score, so the Corn Belters are still in the lead as number 36, Jeremy Conforti, comes up to bat.
And I really have to emphasize how great of a play that was by Jared Comia. He was at that first base bag, essentially, and he was able to leg it all the way out to no man's land by the little tiki area section. He had to have traveled at least 20 or 30 yards in a span of maybe 3 seconds to get himself in position to be underneath that ball, making the catch, looking back in the air and getting his glove under it. It was very impressive to see him do that, and it resembled sort of what like a wide receiver in the NFL would essentially have to do on a streak route or something along those lines. So just an excellent heads-up play by Comia, and a lot of effort shown by him on that play to get there and make the out, making it 1 away for the Belters to secure a win.
36 comes up to bat here. If you all haven't noticed, Blake is a big fan of the NFL.
I am a big football fan, but my love for baseball has grown since I've been announcing it.
That's lovely. Almost as much as your love for Corn Belters.
That's right. It continues to grow and blossom.
That was the first pitch ball there. That was pretty low and outside. But Smith is looking to deliver a little confidence now that he has 2 outs. And, really, there are so many options for him to end this inning.
That was a good slider there by Smith, making it a 2-0 count now.
Looking to see if maybe he can... That is an intentional walk there.
Yeah. I guess we're going to load the bases with
I was just
2
thinking
outs.
about that. I mean, force anywhere.
Yes.
I was just thinking, it's interesting because we did see a little mound visit there real quick. I mean, Coach came out there and then went, said like 2 words, went right back to the dugout. So maybe he just wanted to see how the at-bat will go before pulling back.
Yeah, so now you got Tag Gollert, the Canadian native. And that's actually the second time this game that Conforti has been walked in favor of having a force out on the bases. So
a lot of respect to that batter for, having the honor of being intentionally walked.
Yes, twice in one game by 2 separate pitchers, mind you.
And the pitch here on the 0-1 count is taken for ball 1.
And my heartbeat is slowly rising up here in the booth as we get further into this count in a 1-run game with a 1-1 count. Smith seems cool as a cucumber, though.
Yeah, he's not letting the shake, and he has a lot of experience. And that is a hit to first base. Is it going to be close? And he is out, and that will end the game. The umpires look like they're deliberating with each other a little bit there. It definitely was a close call, but you can see out there the players are celebrating their third straight win here.
Yeah, we're getting hot if we're the normal Corn Belters now. And that was the same exact play earlier that Spencer Smith wasn't able to stop Fleckenstein from getting on base. And now he was able to redeem himself, and he was able to beat the runner there, and he was able to make an excellent play to end out the game and really keep that hot streak going for the Belters.
Yeah, and something I love is you can see out there, a lot of the players were kind of jumping up high in the air and bumping heads with each other. And it's just so nice to see that from, a team that's heating up, and they're just having so much fun. They are such a fun team to watch. A lot of people aren't big into baseball because they think it's slow and boring.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think it's such a wonderful game, and how much joy these players have for the game, for themselves, for each other. It's just such a great team to watch play.
Yeah, and if you're not a fan of baseball, you can at least appreciate the camaraderie and the teamwork that has been going on here, that these guys have been building through the first 5 games of the season, as their record now advances to 4-1, and they'll get a little bit of a rest from being on the road and from being having some back-to-back games, as this was their third game in the span of 2 days, which is really a lot for a team to do, and to come out 3-0 in a scenario like that is just really impressive.
Yeah, it was really impressive for them. I mean, it's been a really close game, this game. They played 2 games last night, 1 game tonight, and so it's really nice to see that they can still win under pressure and under the pressure of a lot of consecutive games, which is very important in the sport of baseball when there are so many games in a season. Unlike football and unlike other sports where you have less games, and the baseball is such a unique sport, but they were able to pull it out here. 8 runs for each team, and the Corn Belters will end on top 4-3.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a very exciting time if you're a normal Corn Belters fan to be in the city of Normal and to be cheering for this blossoming team.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us here for this broadcast between the Clinton Lumber Kings and the Normal Corn Belters. It's been a wonderful time broadcasting. I'm Meagan Smith.